This here, folks, is a 1986 Chevrolet Cavalier. It is a 2.0 liter throttle body injected LQ5 engine, overhead valve, inline 4. I don't know why they call it overhead valve. Valves are like in the head, aren't they? Nevertheless, when this thing was released off of the showroom floor, at the time it was supposed to be rated at creating 86 horsepower. I don't know if it's doing that right now, but nevertheless, these things from 83 to 1986, they're all pretty much basically the same. They're all J-body cars. There is 5 different variations, one of them being the Chevrolet Cavalier that you see in front of you. There was also an Oldsmobile Forenza, a Cadillac Cimarron, Buick Skyhawk, and a Pontiac J2000. Now, the reason why I bring this video to you today is right around that cylinder head bolt there, and that one right there. You see there's rust in both of them, and I'm almost 100% certain that it's a head gasket. It's never really overheated or anything, but what this is doing, when the engine is at operating temperature, you can see water kind of bubbling out around those, and it's getting into where the spark plug is. I'm also thinking it's getting inside the cylinder and the spark plug too, because there's at times that when you first start it and it actually starts getting warm, it kind of sounds like the plug's fouling out. So that's going to be our task at hand today. We're going to try and get this thing all tore down and see if we can get a head gasket replaced on it. And thanks to Rock Auto, not sponsored by the way, we was able to get the entire gasket set to do this head gasket, and it is HS90407PT. There's another number there, 20329. I think it's this one though that gotta look for. It also shows the other vehicles that it can be used for. Yeah, it's a Felpro. It'll work. Got to realize this car's probably got 100 and somewhat. Well, I know it's got 100 and about 86,000 on it. Probably never been rebuilt or anything like this, but this car, even when I pulled it up into the driveway this morning, it runs absolutely perfect. It's been sitting for a couple days, so the water that's been on it is probably kind of disappeared, because the last time we ran it, it was hot, so the water probably evaporated. So guess it's time to get started. One other thing too, I haven't even looked. I do have a Haynes or a Chilton's, I believe, repair manual for this vehicle, so I gotta go look for that too. But there's a few aspects of this car I already know what to do, and about maybe 98% of the time when I follow the Chilton book or the Haynes book, they always miss something. I kind of wonder what it's going to be on this one. But anyway, I'm going to start tearing down parts that I already know about, and then when it gets down to the back side of it, I'll probably have to look at the book a couple times just to see what's in my way. What do I got to do to get it out of the way? I really would like to do this without removing a lot of stuff. I do know that the ignition coil on this vehicle is in the back underneath, and that is one thing. If I can actually get that out of there and place it somewhere else under the hood where it's a little more easily accessible, I will definitely try to do that. One thing I noticed, what this is it goes from there around here right to the alternator. The actual fusible link that went from there back over to here had zapped itself because the alternator that was originally in here shorted out and caused a problem. This still works, but for now I'll just pretend I didn't see that. Probably get a new one of those. It's still pretty good shape. It's nice how that just sits there. Hoses, 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 and more hoses. Wonder what that goes to. Cruise control. Okay, that's why that don't work. Looks like we're going to have to remove the power steering pump, the alternator bracket, most of this stuff, pretty much everything all the way around it up here, except maybe the distributor. We'll see. Now they got the air cleaner and stuff out of the way. Time to PB blast these rusty bolts. Let that do some work. I've had this car for a couple years and I've just really never had to do anything with this car. Kind of wishing now that maybe something did happen so I had to do something to it. But grab the old trusty 10mm Harbor Freight Special. Made sure that this is the one that's going to work on it. And I just barely touched that bolt. It is, I mean, all of them. Just barely turn them and no pressure at all. I mean, I can come around and take them off with my fingers if I could fit them in there. But as you can see, I did remove the negative battery post before I even started. I did number my wires, starting with 1, 2, 3, and 4. I don't know if that's the way they're supposed to go. Nobody cares. 1, 2, 3, 4. Got that done. On to the next. Those are our plugs. And yeah, we'll be getting new ones, even though these aren't actually too bad. They're oil coated around the threads, but not around the spark, into where the spark goes. They're all about the same. This one here was actually really clean. That was our number 3, and this is our number 4. Could probably clean them up and reuse them. Old tin cans. Sometimes they work good for putting bolts in. It's like cylinder head bolts. When you take them out, you put them all in a tin can and just label it head bolts. We got our power steering pump brackets loose. Power steering pump is flip-flopping around so we can take our belt off. The bolt down here was a bitch. Then we got one back there that mounts to the intake. These two are on the head. There's another one. Let the Mad Harley Ripper go by. I got that one, and there's another one down below. On that top one, I had to use a 1/2 inch in the persuader. I've got the power steering pump removed, but I gotta remember the one here with a semi-clean washer goes to the adjustment portion. This is the upper bracket bolt that goes into the cylinder head. And this one with the really dirty, which will probably get cleaned up, is the lower bracket bolt to the cylinder head. And this bolt actually goes back there to the bracket that mounts to the intake manifold. Well, I've already been victimized by this thing. We're just gonna pretend we didn't see that and carry on. Well, I had to go get stitched up. Don't worry about these others here. They're just for decoration. You get some oil and some dirt in them. It ain't going to kill anybody. Kind of boost the immune system. Plus, they kind of distract away from this thing. Anyway, we got the power steering pump laying back there. I thought I was going to have to wire tie it, but it seems to be staying there. So we're going to be good with that. Next is the alternator down here in that little bracket. I've already got the bolts loose on that, and that bolt right there was how I did this. Got it down here on that. Ooh, ow, man, that thing hurt. Anyway, next is the alternator that we got to get off. Most of the time when I pull bolts out, like these for the alternator, I'll put them right back in. That one, that one. This way they don't get lost. You know right where they go. I found another problem. Let's see if I could zoom you in here. I think I'm getting in the right spot. Right here, this goes into the throttle body. Yeah, I already got the bracket loose. We've got a split vacuum line. I'm just going to leave that on there like I didn't see it, but before we replace it, we'll replace the line. We'll put a new piece on that. I apologize about the sunlight shining on everything, but we got the exhaust manifold is now free, and it is kind of pulled back a little bit. The intake manifold and the throttle body, which is still connected to it, is kind of pulled back. Now, the one thing I had a problem with is that lower the exhaust bolt down there, there's a tube that runs to the water pump, and that was like right in front of that bolt, so I had to pull that tube out of that water pump, bend it out of the way so I can get the bolt out. And then now the only thing I got left is all this garbage over here, and I don't know if there's anything mounted underneath. I think it's held on by 3 bolts. There's a stud going in, then 2 bolts at the bottom. But I think I'm just going to unhook everything because it's got to be unhooked anyway. So I might as well just unhook everything and see if I can pull it up out as one unit with the head. Wish me luck. And yeah, I haven't had any more injuries since. Okay, we got all of our head bolts are loose. Our rocker arms are loose. So next we're going to be pulling the push rods out. And I got a box here labeled front because I want to make sure that each of my push rods go back in the same position they came from out of the engine, starting with the number 4 cylinder, 3, 2, and 1. There's 2 push rods for each cylinder, one for the exhaust and one for the intake valve. And then over here, same thing for our cylinder head bolts. And I want to make sure that they go back in the position that they actually came out of the head. So after this, we should be able to pull this cylinder head up unless there is something hidden that I did not see, cannot see, like underneath that damn thing down here. But as far as I can tell, I've reached my finger down and around everywhere, and I can't find anything that would keep this thing seated down. So wish me luck. Holy crap, it's free! Cylinder walls actually look to be in absolutely perfect shape. Tops of the cylinder pistons themselves are just dirty, but other than that, everything looks great. I mean, this thing always has had good oil pressure and everything, so that's not anything to be worried about. And there's the cylinder head. Pretty much done here for today. When I get this stuff wrapped up and put in the garage and call it a night. The sun's getting close to going down and I got dinner to eat. A nasty head gasket. She is ugly. And then after dinner, it'll be pretty much time to go and have what Derek from Vice Grip Garage calls a cold snack, or a few. I'm kind of actually impressed though. Just dirty on the outside and not too bad on the inside. Yep, we'll be back tomorrow.